Hey guys, how's it going? I just wanted to show you a new item I got. Just got this yesterday. It's Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. And yeah, this is actually one of my first D&D books that I've actually purchased myself. Kind of proud of it. But yeah, you can see the artwork on it. It's pretty cool. I thought I just might read like maybe the introduction. It's in the front of the book, and then maybe some of the creatures that I thought were kind of notable and what I thought about them in terms of how they relate to reality, kind of. So here's the preface. It says, "You have in your hands that which you covet, just as I promised. It is indeed the true work of the Ordanian wizard Mordenkainen, although penned in large part by his apprentice Bigby. You didn't know that? Yes, the work of the two great wizards for the price of one. You should pay me extra." Bigby wrote a dictated by his master, burdened by the chains of a charm spell. Eventually, Mordenkainen released Bigby from the spell, once he had turned Bigby away from his evil ways, and Bigby had earned Mordenkainen's trust. The last few chapters are thus in Mordenkainen's own hand, but you'll see the voice of the author is the same throughout. Funny, isn't it? How all the stories say that Mordenkainen rescued Bigby from evil. Does Mordenkainen seem like the kind of person whose virtues outweigh his villainy? Do you think him capable of saving a soul? Does he seem like someone who would even care? Perhaps it's no accident that this book contains Mordenkainen's first expression of the balance. In here, he starts to describe the multiverse as a collection of opposing forces, each one trying to tip the scales of fate in its favor. He posits that if any side in a struggle grows too powerful, it becomes tyrannical. But where does that leave us all, the soldiers, in all these wars? Surely, for the soldiers of all sides, a war is better when it is over. Are you a soldier? What war do you fight? Whose side are you on? Law, chaos, evil, or good? Can you be sure that Mordenkainen would judge you as you judge yourself? When he puts his thumb on the scales to preserve the balance, can you be certain that the weight of the finger will not crush you? All this might seem odd coming from a Yogoloth, but you should believe me, because I am in the best position to know. Endless war profit only mercenaries and arms dealers. Think on this as you pursue the wise words of Mordenkainen. And this is written by the word of Shamishka the Marauder, upon delivering Mordenkainen's Tomb of Foes. So as this book is delivered, that's from Shamishka. So that's just the preface. There's like an entire another page for about the book and everything like that. Kind of see, talks about the Blood War, the preface right here, a little bit of notes. Now, when I was going through this book, I haven't read all of it yet. So, I mean, a lot of it's still fresh. One thing that I know about my experience with D&D is it's a super fun game. Not only do you get to have fun interactions with people that get to act like, you know, goofballs, or you can be serious, or all sorts of different kind of stuff. You can kind of play with fantasy. It's a good thing to interact with other people. It's a really good skill to learn. It's one of the funnest things you can do, really. And as far as some of the things that influenced me the most, obviously Baldur's Gate. That's one of the things that influenced me the most. Because, I knew about D&D before. I played it with one of my friends in high school, and I was more like into football when I was younger, but I still hung out with some of the other guys that were not into football, so it was kind of a good experience for me. And I really liked the old D&D, like the second 2.5 edition or second edition, and Baldur's Gate. Mostly because Baldur's Gate, so it's just personal preference, but man, Baldur's Gate is one of those stories that just left a lasting impression on me. And now I'll read tons of books, the Elminster series, bunch of Dragonlance series, so many. I've read so many Forgotten Realms books, all those different type of books. It's a lot of fun, and this is part of it. Once you get to learn about the lore of the world, you can kind of get engrossed in it, and I don't know, it's a lot of fun to learn about. One of the things I liked in here is a lot of the artwork is really good. That's pretty sweet. Some of it's a little cartoony. I don't know if I didn't mark the pages before I started reading this, before I got on the video, but I'll just jump around to some of the stuff that I thought was cool. I don't know if this is like a spoiler, so look away if you don't want to see this, but here's one of the full spread images. It's in Shadowfell and elsewhere in the multiverse. The curse of undeath threatens to overwhelm all life. So, it's pretty sweet. Here's another example of some really cool artwork. The Nightwalker. It's pretty creepy looking. I wanted to show you guys. So here's one of the ones that I think is kind of weird. It's like a hippopotamus, basically. Now this type of stuff, it's not in Baldur's Gate, it's not in Icewind Dale, all those types of games. So I prefer my stuff a little bit more traditional, and having guns and hippopotamuses dressed as human beings is just kind of weird to me. It doesn't really fit into the fantasy. Obviously it is fantasy to have a hippopotamus start talking and stuff like that, but I don't know. This personally, I don't like it. So I thought it was kind of like a cartoony thing. Doesn't really look. I don't know. When I think about Dungeons and Dragons, when I think about D&D, I think about dark, scary, stuff like that. I don't think about like fairies and there's like nymphs, right? But they're not supposed to be. It's not like a scary thing, to have a fairy next to you. But a nymph can like potentially be threatening. They can charm you and do all these other types of things. And so it's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons is supposed to have teeth, in my opinion. There's stuff in there that obviously is kind and nice and all that type of stuff, but I don't know. I don't know what the point I'm trying to make is, but I don't know. Should be darker, in my opinion. So this type of stuff, it's really good artwork, don't get me wrong, it's just, that doesn't look real to me. And if you want to make it believable, I don't think you would have this kind of like really super cartoony artwork. But then again, you know, maybe they're going for a different audience. Maybe they're going for some young kids or something. I don't know. Here's something from like some of the first Dungeons and Dragons, right? The artwork, statue, sacred statue. That's what they call it. It's a large construct. So here's the story for the drow. I thought this one was kind of cool. Whether they are found in underdark cities, the darkened passages between them, or in the dreaded demon web pits, drow stand as one of the most insidious threats to surface dwellers. Devoted to Loth, the dark elves obey her often contradictory commands and live in fear of her wrath. Some attain great power and influence through cunning, talent, or subterfuge, evoking fear from the lesser drow who serve them. And you can kind of see, pretty awesome looking. Cool artwork. And you know, again, it's really dark, but it still has that kind of like cartoon feel. Like they're trying to take the teeth out of Dungeons and Dragons. But then again, you know, everybody has their own art style, and that's kind of the beauty about Dungeons and Dragons. You can have one game that's like super realistic and scary, you know, Resident Evil style, or then you can have one that's, you know, The Hobbit, you know, halflings or something like that. So it's kind of cool. So they have the Anomancer. Drow mages can be quite learned and skilled in magic. Some of them can even cast my spells. And that's supposed to be like a note from Mordenkainen or Bigsby. Right there at the top. There's another one I wanted to show you guys. So here's one's like Moloch, right? And I think some of these things in the book, after you get to reading some other stuff that are like in the Bible, the Holy Bible, the Christian Bible, they have a lot of these stories too about, I think Gary Gygax or whoever created some of these guys, they got inspiration from some of this stuff. And that's why it's also in, you know, other games too, like Diablo 3 and stuff like that. But the story of the Canaanites in the Holy Bible, where God wanted those people to be, I guess, wiped away off the face of the earth. And this is in the New Testament, the Old Testament, sorry. And in that book, they're talking about how the reason why God wanted them to be gone is because they actually had a giant metal statue. And that metal statue, they would heat it up really hot. And it would be kind of like a weird kind of party in a way. Like if you were to walk into a church, it'd be kind of like a big church, except they're beating drums and they have this giant metal statue and it's being heated up so hot where it's just, you know, glowing. And what they would do is particular people, the Canaanites, the tribe, they would get their babies and they'd put it on the hands of the statue. The statue's sitting there like this, and molten hot glowing metal statue arms of, you know, probably the inspiration for this guy. And they'd put the baby on top of those hands, and they'd sizzle and burn, and the babies would be sacrificed. This is like legit history right here. And that's one of the reasons why the Christians have it in the Old Testament, saying that those people should be wiped out. God said they have nothing but evil in their hearts and all that other type of stuff. So I don't know, I just thought it was kind of interesting how some of these same stories are actually also in our D&D and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. Just another random fact I thought I'd throw out there. And I mean, you could spend a lot of time on this. This is like, if you want to have a good book on the lore and the stories for different types of enemies, and this, from what I've read, this is like from the multiple realms, right? The multiple universes of, the Forgotten Realms, Faerun, and then, Dragonlance and all that different type of stuff. So it's what it's supposed to be, multiple animals, so multiple creatures. And so you can, basically learn about all the foes, all the good, all the bad. So, here we go. This one's cool because this one was in Throne of Ball, Baldur's Gate Throne of Ball. It's called a Demogorgon. And if you remember that fight in Baldur's Gate.
Dare to approach, mortal. Know me then by my best name, mortal. You face Demogorgon, Prince of Demons.
You'd go into this tower, and at one of the final stages of the tower, you'd be fighting this guy. So I'll throw in a clip of it if I find one that's good. Here's another one, Baphomet. And that's another guy that I think is also, that's actually, I'm pretty sure that's actually another word for the devil, like Satan. So in our reality world for Christians or whatever. Oh, here's another really cool artwork. Yeah, that looks awesome. So I guess what I can do is just kind of go through the sections, because there's like a table of contents, so I can kind of show you guys the table of contents just real quick. So the first chapter is the Blood War. Then the second chapter, there's the table of contents right there. So the second chapter is the elves. The third chapter is the dwarves and Dugar. And then the fourth chapter is, of course, the Gith and their endless war. The fifth chapter is the halflings and the gnomes. And then the sixth chapter is the bestiary. So, yeah, I mean, all in all, this book is about 250 pages of awesome lore. Now, one thing that kind of sucked is, I mean, I got this book on pre-order like, I don't know, March, I think. March? Yeah, March. And I've been waiting for it for, 2 months or something like that. And other people have been posting reviews and stuff like that, and I've been trying not to read the reviews because I wanted to wait till I got mine first, because I wanted to have it in my hands and not hear what other people have to say until I see it for myself. So yeah, this is just kind of like an initial review, a look at the book and what it has to offer. I mean, obviously, it's not all like evil, right? Because there's some happy folk, right? I think this is the dwarves. Yeah. Some really cool artwork about them. I assume that's the dwarves and the Dugar. That's pretty cool. The Gith and the Endless War. It's pretty awesome. They have clan names in here, clan status, notable traits. It's got a lot of detail. Their height and weight sometimes. Halflings have a reputation as thieves. It is well deserved. So that's another wise words from Mordenkainen, or his apprentice. Oh, here we go. Elminster calls gnomes the forgotten folk, an apt name for them in most worlds. I've walked many realms, and nary a one has even a hint of a gnome nation. Wow, weird. Elminster calls gnomes the forgotten folk. So basically they're just small people that have no no land of their own. It's interesting. And from Elminster, one of my favorite stories. So yeah, I'm not sure if you guys are into D&D. If you guys are into D&D, let me know in the comments section. You know, I'd love to maybe play with some you guys sometime, maybe even play a video game or something like that. But yeah, let me know. Peace.